Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. I've just written something called The Three Quests. Here is the first one. Finding a good job. Hello, my name is Jeremy. The one thing I promise you is that I'll be honest with you. For example, I'm not that smart. I felt lucky to get into a 4-year college, and it took me 6. I had no idea what to major in, so because I was curious about what makes people tick, I majored in psychology. But I soon discovered that the major had little to do with what makes people tick. That said, I didn't want to start all over again with some other major and cost my parents more money and me more time. I didn't want to piss off my parents who were spending all that money on my college education. So I tried to get a decent GPA, but to do it, I had to occasionally cheat. I told you I'd be honest with you. After I graduated, I took a couple of months break. I traveled a little, hung out a lot. Finally, I felt guilty, and because of my parents' pressure, I looked for a job, sorta. Best I could get was working at a cafe, but I soon got tired of that and having to kiss up to my boss, plus having to work weekends, so I quit. My mother was sad, and my father, who rarely yelled, did. Get a job, a real job. In 30 days or your ass is out of here. I yelled back, stomped to my room, and slammed the door so hard that a little paint came off the frame. Then I got high. The next day I laid in bed wondering what the hell I was going to do. I wasn't going to go to grad school, which is what you need to get a real psychology job. I thought, I like the idea of being creative, but I'm not creative. I like to write, sort of, short things. I like books, to be honest, easy books. In the required English course, I never got Shakespeare or most poems. So I decided to apply for entry-level jobs in book publishing's PR departments. I looked up how to write a resume and applied to jobs on LinkedIn, but I didn't even get any rejections. Silence, or as my country friend said, crickets. There were 10 days left in the 30, a fact that my parents reminded me of. No, they reminded me of 25, 20, 15, and now 10. I didn't really think they'd kick me out, but I needed something to motivate me, so I faked believing they would. I got an idea, admittedly grasping at straws. Maybe I could use my lack of creativity and my cheating to actually help me. I'd Google the term quotes and book PR and append the best quote I could find to the beginning of my resume and LinkedIn profile. The best quote I could find before I got impatient, that is, like in 2 minutes, was this. Writing a book without promoting it is like waving to someone in a dark room. You know what you have done, but nobody else does. Then I realized I didn't need to cheat and claim it for myself. I'd get as much mileage by saying who wrote it. Madi Preda, who wrote a book on marketing books. That motivated me to apply for a bunch more jobs in book publicity. And I got interviews for 3. I knew I bombed 1. I said, I don't know, or I'm not sure, to 3. Yeah, 3 questions. I thought I did okay in one of the other 2 interviews, but afterwards got those crickets. But in the 3rd, when I was interviewed by a woman, who was no older than me, we clicked and I got the job. An actual PR job for a book publisher. Well, assistant to the assistant of the director of PR of a book company. And no, it wasn't Random House, far from it. But it was okay. No, more than okay. The second quest. Finding a real relationship. Hi, this is Jeremy again. There are all those songs about love. Passionate love, deep love, even lasting love. But that hasn't been my experience, although I'll admit that my experience has been kind of limited. Sure, I dated some in college, but the longest lasted just 3 months. I hate the word hookup, but that's kind of what most of them were. If I had been sober, maybe I would have had fewer. I don't know. I told you I'd be honest, so I figured I'd better tell you this. I wasn't great at it. Sometimes I was no good at all, if you know what I mean. My parents are still together, although I don't think they have a marriage made in heaven, but somehow it seems to work here on earth, although I don't really know what their marriage is like. Kids don't know about that. At least I don't. But I thought I wanted to try for a real relationship. I wasn't sure, actually, though. So many couples start great, but it doesn't last. And if they get married, half get divorced. I hear divorcing sucks, really sucks. And if they have kids, it's even worse. I knew that bars and clubs aren't good places to meet a real partner. Too loud, too much alcohol and weed. It all comes down to looks there. And sometimes I think the 9s and 10s don't care to be nice, or maybe they don't work on their personality because they figure they can get by on their looks. I don't know. So I told my friends, at least the ones who weren't screw-ups, that I'm looking to meet someone. I didn't know exactly what to tell them, so I just said attractive, kind, and well-adjusted. I even lowered myself to tell my parents the same thing. I felt I should also use apps. Today, even winners use them, by the million. But what should I say about myself? Something that'll attract a lot of responses like, successful, kind, fun-loving, communicative guy seeks similar woman. But I heard that the game isn't how many responses you get, it's getting one that's well-matched. And that requires you to be honest. Well, at least that's something I can be. What do you think of this opener? Kind, recent college grad guy with a decent job, finally, seeks a similar gal. Well, here's my thinking about that. I wanted to imply I wasn't a 10, maybe a 7, and that I wanted to be fair, expecting around the same in a woman. And I put in just a little humor, self-effacing humor, that I finally got a job, because I didn't want to seem like I was trying too hard. Rather than waiting for women to contact me, I reached out so I could be pickier, and I stayed picky. If they didn't respond within a couple days, or seemed at all mean, or screwed up, or whose attic seemed a little dusty, I wrote them off. My parents made me try Michelle. Her texts were okay, but the coffee date? All she wanted to talk about was her family and pop culture, and I mean talk. She barely asked me anything. Maybe she was nervous, but you got to make choices. There are a lot of fish in the sea, so I wasn't going to see her again. A friend insisted that Christine would be a good fit. Yeah, except that there was no chemistry. Remember when I said that sometimes I was no good at all? Well, with Christine, I knew I wouldn't be. But the third time was the charm. I felt like I always knew Sarah. The conversation just flowed. She wasn't a 10, but I just couldn't wait to kiss her. And I could sense that she felt that way too. At the end of our first date, we had the best goodnight kiss. But we knew we shouldn't go further that night. The next day I was flying. I wanted to text her 20 times that day, but I put myself on a texting diet, and I waited till 11, and when she responded in 20 minutes, I waited 15, even though I wanted to respond that second. Fast forward 6 months. We've been living together for 2 months now. Things are great, although the sex isn't quite as good as it was, and she's been a little pushy about wanting me to get a better job. But when I rated her on the report card, she would make Phi Beta Lover. Sex, A-, career A, kindness, B+, well-adjustedness, A-, and that ineffable thing called love, A-. I brought Sarah home to meet my parents. They love her, or at least maybe it's that they would love to be grandparents. Probably some combination of the two. God, I don't know. Is this it? Is there someone even better for me out there? After we got married, would Sarah change? Would I change? Would we get tired of each other? Mad at each other? Join the half that divorced, screaming over who gets the home entertainment unit? Or would we be okay, or better than that? Or should I stay single, at least a while longer? I don't know. I really don't know. The third quest, finding peace of mind. It's me, Jeremy, again. One last time, I promise. Is that all there is? Sarah and I have decent jobs, ups and downs, enough money to save a little, donate a little, as long as we live in our just okay condo in our just okay neighborhood and drive our quite used Toyotas. Actually, I don't think there's more to life. We wouldn't be happier in a fancy neighborhood or fancier car, fancier clothes, fancier vacations. But what about spirituality? I can't believe there's a loving God who'd allow earthquakes, COVID, and millions of babies born with horrific diseases dying and leaving parents in agony. Do-gooding? Yeah. I guess so. No, I'm sure it's worthy. Remember the starfish story? The guy who threw a starfish on the beach back into the water, and a passerby asked him, "There are thousands of starfish on this beach alone and millions of beaches. What possible difference could you make?" And he replied, looking at the starfish, "To him, a very big difference." That's right. My friends go to Europe or Nepal to find the answer, but come back, maybe meditating more, maybe becoming vegan or raising money for some candidate. But usually they don't end up with much of a job. Is that all there is? Here's one thing I've concluded, at least for now, that all we can do is balance. Work with play, looking back with looking forward, with living in the now, looking back with nostalgia and for lessons learned, looking ahead to some goals that feel worthwhile, but staying open to changing. And maybe most of all, being grateful for the present, the little problems and solutions at work, the simple pleasures of nature, music, reading, eating, talking, and loving. In any event, I thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko.